Revealed at my daughter's wedding. The heartwarming toast that exposed my incredible absence. Tom stood at the entrance of the community hall, heart racing and hands clammy. The scent of flowers filled the air, breathtakingly beautiful, yet he felt as if they were suffocating him. His little girl, his Lily, was getting married today. Moments blurred together as excitement danced in the room. Laughter echoed like a sweet serenade. But inside, Tom grappled with a mix of pride and an overwhelming tide of guilt. How had he let so many moments slip through his fingers? As he looked out into the crowd, he saw family and friends dressed elegantly, their smiles bright, but his heart weighed down with shadows of missed school plays and dance recitals. Together, they didn't share the easy bond of a father and daughter. They instead navigated a landscape littered with regret. While his hands had worked hard on grease-stained engines, Tom yearned to have given Lily the gentle reassurances he knew she desperately sought. The decorated hall sparkled with lace draped like whispers of fairy tales. Yet the feeling of anxiety nestled deep within him. Could she ever forgive him for the moments lost? Tom watched as Lily entered, radiant in her white gown. The vision of her joyful face momentarily chased the dark thoughts away. Yet, almost instantly, the guilt snaked back in. "Hey, Dad." Lily's bright voice broke his trance as she approached. Her eyes twinkled with excitement, the joy of the day radiant all around. It was infectious, yet he felt smothered. Would she ever truly understand how her old man tried to balance work and fatherhood? As the evening went on, Tom found himself battling a whirlwind of emotions. When the time for the father-daughter dance arrived, he took her hand, the soft lace of her dress brushing against his worn-out suspenders. Memories flooded back. Her first steps, her giggles, the moments that had become mere echoes instead of shared warmth. But just as those memories warmed him, the anguish tightened in his chest. Before long, it was time for Lily's speech. She stood at the head table, eyes shimmering with emotion, and raised her glass. "To my father," she began, her voice steady yet filled with unexpected weight. "My dad worked tirelessly to give me everything." Applause followed. Tom felt proud but cringed as she continued. "But sometimes I wished he could have been there more." The room fell silent. Those words struck him like a bolt of lightning, igniting vulnerabilities he always tried to hide. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The tension grew thicker as Lily's voice trembled, revealing intimate truths, the ache she felt in the quiet moments without him. Each word resonated in Tom's heart, carving deeper the regret he had hidden. Tears threatened to spill as he grappled with the reality of his absence. How could he bridge the chasm between them? The room thrummed with energy, family's eyes darting between him and Lily, anticipation hanging in the air. Tom felt the weight of unspoken words hardening in his throat, a painful truth waiting to escape. Would he find the courage to let it out? Or would silence continue to breed distance? As he stood on that precipice, the night transformed, a wedding turning into a reckoning. A moment of truth was near, one that could redefine everything between them. Tom felt as if the air had thickened around him, heavy and stifling, with every heartbeat echoing louder in his ears. His eyes were glued to Lily, glowing under the soft light that enveloped her like a halo. How could he have been so blind to the way his absence had shaped her? Each look she shot his way, every slight flicker of her smile, sent a tidal wave of emotions crashing over him. Taking a breath, he stepped forward, heart pounding as he nervously cleared his throat. The crisp silence of the room fell like a blanket, with every gaze now fixed on him. This was his moment, his chance to reclaim some of those lost years. But what could he say that would heal the wounds he had inflicted, the scars he had unknowingly placed on his daughter's heart? "Lily," he began, his voice low but steady, "you're right, there were times I wasn't there when I should have been." The crowd stood silent, as if holding its breath. "I spent too many hours in the garage, too many nights working late. I convinced myself it was for you, but deep down I know the truth. I failed to be the dad you deserved." Tom could feel the weight of his words. His heart thudded painfully, churning with regret, yet alongside that was a flicker of hope. He dared to meet Lily's eyes. They were shining with tears, both hurt and understanding. The warmth that radiated from her made him wish he could press rewind on the past. Could he ever bridge the time he lost? His grip tightened around the edge of the podium. I get it now, Lily. I see your pain, the moments I missed, and I'm so sorry. But I want to be here for you now. I want to be the father I should have always been today, tomorrow, and every day after. The words felt like they were tearing from his soul, but the relief that followed was exhilarating. Lily took a step closer, the crowd whispering in hushed tones around them, creating an atmosphere thick with emotion. The vulnerability he just shared sparked something in her. Dad, she said softly, voice quivering but sincere. I love you. I wanted you to know that what you did, it didn't go unnoticed. I just wished for more moments with you, moments like this. Tom felt the tears streaming down his cheek. They mirrored the glistening of her own. The connection they had always longed for was slowly being stitched back together, thread by fragile thread. The applause that erupted felt like a sign from everyone around them, buoying them up, urging them to let this be the start of healing. The room was a mosaic of emotions, some wiping away tears while others exchanged glances of support. Yet, deep in his heart, Tom knew they couldn't go back. They could only forge ahead. With each passing moment, he felt lighter, an almost palpable sense of relief enveloping him. But as the crowd cheered, celebrating their newfound understanding, a shadow from the past tensed his shoulders, tightening once again around his heart. What if he stumbled again? What if the past slipped in, murky and disguised, to mess things up once more? His mind raced with possibilities and flickering doubts, shadows that threatened this burgeoning light. What would it take to finally keep the promise he had just made? And deep down, did he truly believe he could change? As the dance floor filled with jubilant families, laughter echoed through the hall, and Tom stood in the middle of the storm he had made for himself. Tomorrow loomed ahead, bringing both excitement and dread. Would love finally be enough to overcome years of silence and shadow? The uncertain promise of new beginnings gripped at his heart, as he pondered the next steps of their delicate journey together. He needed to find answers and reclaim the affection that had once blossomed, but was now fragile, and he hoped Lily would walk with him into the unknown. But what lay ahead would test their newfound connection in ways he couldn't begin to fathom. The music faded into the background as the crowd's joyful laughter enveloped Tom like an unexpected hug. But he couldn't shake the weight of uncertainty that clung to him. Glances exchanged among friends and family hinted at the stories that would follow, wonderful, sweet tales of love and family. Yet, at the heart of it all sat the gaping hole that had been his absence, whispering a warning that tugged at his conscience. Lily's warm smile lingered in his mind, a beacon of hope. Yet he wondered, could he love her the way she truly deserved? The very thought made his heart flutter and ache all at once. He watched her dance with her friends, her laughter ringing in the air, and felt a wave of pride crash over him. And yet, the nagging voice inside questioned whether pride was even enough to make up for the years he had missed. Hey Tom! Why so serious? Bill, a family friend, appeared beside him, snapping him from his thoughts. His expression was playful, but Tom could see the concern in his eyes. Just thinking, Tom replied, forcing a smile. About the future. Ah, the future. Bill chuckled. You've got plenty of time to figure it out. Today is about celebrating Lily, let yourself enjoy it. Tom nodded, but Bill's words felt like a gentle shove into a welcoming sea. For a moment he let go of the shadows. He watched Lily again, twirling, her dress flowing like petals caught in the wind. How much did she need him in the years that passed? Did he hold the power to make things right? Or was he fighting a losing battle? As the dance floor filled with couples and friends, he spotted Lily round the edge, chatting animatedly with one of her old-school friends. The sight stirred something inside him, a fierce determination. If only he could find the right balance between being the father she always craved and navigating the shadows of his past. Tom! The DJ called out. Time for the father-daughter dance. Those words sent a shiver down his spine. The air felt electric as Tom faced the crowd, heart lurching. He had barely prepared for this. He often envisioned how it would look, how it would feel. But now, with Lily walking towards him, all he could think was how he hoped this moment would feel complete, fill the gaps he had left open for too long. As she reached him, he slid his hand around her waist, holding her gently, yet firmly. The moment she rested her head against his shoulder, He knew time hadn't dimmed the bond they shared, it only made it stronger. The song played softly, and as they swayed he murmured, "I'm here, Lily. I promise I'll never let you go again." She looked up, her eyes shimmering. "I know. We have all the time in the world now." But as they danced, the hypnotizing rhythm blurred, giving way to an unsettling thought. What if this was just a fleeting moment? What if the past beckoned, trying to claim him again? Tom moved slowly, letting the music guide them, but doubt continued to creep in, casting a shadow over their shared light. With each sway, he felt the weight of his promises and the lingering question of whether they could truly start anew. As they twirled under the colorful lights, he resolved to take that step forward with her. But just as the song reached its climax, a figure emerged from the doorway, a silhouette he never expected to see. A rush of panic seized him, squeezing his heart as if trying to pull him backward into the abyss. Who was it, and what did they want? More importantly, would they unravel everything he had begun to build with Lily? As he locked eyes with the mysterious figure, uncertainty sent him spiraling. The dance continued, but it felt like the beginning of a new storm brewing. The moment froze, a swirling mass of confusion and dread. Tom's heart raced, each beat a countdown to the unknown. The figure stood at the edge of the celebration, a shadow cast by the bright lights that illuminated Lily's smile and the joy surrounding her. It was a face that haunted his past, a face he thought he'd left behind. "Is that?" Bill's voice trailed off, recognition striking him hard. Tom barely heard him. His mind churned, piecing together fragments of old wounds, regrets, and the fleeting moments he'd spent trying to build a better future. He couldn't allow the past to disrupt what he was working so hard to create. Not now. Not at Lily's wedding. The music faded in the background, transforming into a low hum that only amplified his anxiety. The people around him began to murmur, glancing curiously toward the doorway. Tom tightened his grip on Lily, feeling her warmth seep into him, grounding him even as the world around them threatened to unravel. "Dad, look at me," Lily whispered, sensing the shift in his demeanor. "Just focus on me. We're dancing. This is our moment." He nodded, forcing a smile, even though every instinct screamed to run. He tried to breathe, to steady the tide of emotions crashing over him. "You're right," he murmured back, but his eyes were drawn back to the figure, unwillingly fixated. Then they stepped forward. The figure emerged from the shadows, revealing an all-too-familiar face, etched with a mix of regret and resolve. It was Sarah, his sister. He hadn't seen her in years, not since everything fell apart. "Tom," she called, her voice trembling, cutting through the air like glass. The room went quiet, listeners halted mid-conversation, everyone's attention like a spotlight now shining on the siblings. His heart sank. What did she want? "Please," she continued, taking another step. "I just want to talk. Can we talk?" The air was thick with tension. Lily turned to look at him, her eyes wide with confusion and concern. "Dad?" she asked softly, sensing that something monumental was unraveling. Tom hesitated, torn between the frantic desire to shield Lily from the tumult brewing within him, and the need to confront whatever Sarah had come to say. The years of distance were suddenly a chasm he had to cross, filled with treacherous memories and unresolved fears. "Lily," he started, but the words wouldn't come. How could he explain that the past wasn't just a shadow? It had its own voice, and for that moment it was demanding to be heard. "Sarah, not now," he snapped, desperation spilling from his lips. The calm facade he had promised himself shattered, replaced by the fury of countless unexpressed emotions. "Just let me say one thing," she began, but Bill had stepped forward. "Let us keep this a celebration, shall we?" he interjected firmly, attempting to break the tension. "Tom and Lily are sharing a beautiful moment." But it was too late. The spell was broken. Tom could feel the whole room holding its breath, waiting to see how he would respond. Lily's eyes darted back and forth between him and Sarah, an innocent caught in a tempest. Tom took a deep breath, battling against his rising panic. Could he let this moment slip? Could Sarah's appearance eclipse everything he had finally begun to rebuild? "Yes, my daughter," he said, his voice steady. "And right now I'm here for her." The words felt like chains binding him to the commitment he'd made. But even as he said them, he couldn't shake the impending storm. What would Sarah say? What did she mean to reveal? The darkness of the past loomed larger, and as he looked at Lily, his resolve began to waver. A voice echoed from the back of the room, "Maybe it's time for the truth, Tom." Every eye turned toward him again, breathing a collective question. What truth? The dance around them carried on, but a different rhythm played in Tom's heart, a rhythm of chaos, of fear, and of choices that could change everything. What lay ahead? Would he finally confront the ghosts of his past or cling to the promise of a brighter future for Lily? Only time would tell, and as he prepared to face whatever came next, he felt a strange mix of dread and hope intertwining in his chest. The silence hummed around him, thick and uncomfortable. Tom felt every gaze slice through him like a knife. The weight of their expectations pressed heavily on his chest. Sarah stood just a few feet away, her eyes pleading but full of a history he had tried so hard to erase. He couldn't breathe, and all he wanted was for the moment to dissolve, to bury the memories that threatened to flood back. Lily's grip tightened on his hand. "Dad, what is happening?" Her voice was steady but laced with fear. She was still that little girl in a princess dress, looking up at him for answers, and here he was, about to unravel in front of her. "Nothing, sweetheart," he lied, forcing a smile that felt more like a grimace. "Just an old friend." But there was nothing friendly about the tangle of emotions tied to Sarah. "Old friend?" Sarah echoed, a mix of hurt and disbelief on her face. "Is that all I am to you? After everything?" "Enough!" Tom roared, startling everyone, including himself. His voice cracked with the strain of years unreleased, and the room flinched together like a caught breath. "You don't get to come here and undo what you've done. Not today." Sarah's shoulders sagged, the fight leaving her. "I understand you're angry, but can't you see? We all have scars just like you." "Scars?" He scoffed, bitterness rising like bile. "You think I've forgotten? You think time erases the pain? You chose to walk away. I had to learn to live with that." The murmurings in the room swelled, faces shifting with discomfort, but he was beyond caring. Lily's eyes glistened, and he felt a wave of regret crashing over him. He didn't want to hurt her. Not in her moment of happiness. But what if the truth could free him? What if there was something to be gained from confronting the past? He glanced at Sarah, her face a canvas of pain and hope. The urge to understand, to unearth her story, was eating away at him little by little. He could feel the urge to run beginning to soften. "What do you want to say?" he asked sharply, but with less venom than before. "Make it quick." "I want to apologize," Sarah replied, her voice choked with emotion. "Not for me. For you. I'm sorry for leaving you. I thought I was protecting you. I didn't realize I didn't see how much it would cost you." Tom's thoughts tangled in a web of memories. The night she left, the calls that never came, the guilt that consumed him when their mother fell ill. How could he let that all go? Yet, here they were, standing like strangers in a family reunion, aching for connection. The music resumed in the background, contrasting with the storm brewing between them. Tom's heart was a cacophony of feelings: anger, sadness, longing, and somewhere deep down, an almost hopeful resolve. Lily squeezed his hand tighter, looking between her father and the aunt she barely knew. "You can tell me everything, Dad," she encouraged softly. "It's okay." Everything inside him shifted. The walls he built, brick by emotional brick, began to crack, allowing a new kind of light to seep in. Could he really let her in? What was the cost of truth? As he stood there, torn and confused, Sarah took a step closer, her eyes glistening with something that looked like understanding. "Tom, you need to know," another voice cut through, this time louder, defiant. "What is this all really about? Is it just about you? Or is there more we deserve to know?" Everyone turned, and Tom shifted on his feet. Another whirlwind loomed, ready to spin fresh chaos into their fragile moment. What were the untold secrets lurking behind the smiles and songs? As the truth hung thick in the air, Tom felt the ground shifting beneath him, and wondered if they could all afford to speak it aloud. Would Lily, caught in the crossfire of revelation, find strength, or would she only find more scars? Tom's pulse raced as he turned to face the voice that shattered the fragile air between him and Sarah. It was Chris, his brother-in-law, strong and direct but equally just as confused by the tension. The once celebratory atmosphere of the wedding felt suffocating now, like thick fog weighing heavily in the room. Tom noticed the eyes around him again, curious, sympathetic, judgmental. "Chris, now's not the time," Tom said, his voice quieter, trying to rein in the chaos that threatened to erupt. Why not? Chris shot back, stepping closer. Sarah came here for a reason. Are you really going to ignore her? This is family, and we all deserve to know why it's been a decade since you've said her name. Tom inhaled sharply. You don't understand. Don't I? Or is it you who doesn't want to understand? Chris's voice softened, transforming from anger into sincerity. We've all felt the void she left. We've missed her. You've always put up these walls, and maybe it's time to let them down. The murmurs around them grew louder, people shifting closer, leaning in to catch every word. Tom's heart sank. It felt like they were all bystanders at some tragic play, where he was the unwilling actor. His gaze flickered to Lily. She looked confused but determined, as if she sensed that the unraveling of this moment might help stitch together their family. Tom balled his fists. You think it's that simple? You think it's just about forgiveness and moving on? I think it's about the truth, Chris replied. Maybe the truth hurts. Tom's hands trembled as he struggled for control. What if it's too much? Then let it be too much, Sarah interjected, her voice soft yet firm. This is the moment. We've all been in pain, but we don't have to hide anymore. Tom looked at Sarah, her vulnerability palpable. The flood of emotions swirled in him: anger, guilt, a hint of hope. He felt as if he were standing at the edge of a cliff, peering into dark waters below, not certain whether to dive or pull back. Lily, he started, turning his gaze to her. There are things about our family, things you don't know, things I've kept hidden to protect you. Maybe I deserve to know, Dad, Lily said, her voice trembling yet resolute. We all do. If we're really family, then we should share everything, even the hard stuff. It's not just about what hurts. It's about what binds us together. A collective breath held in the room shattered into whispers, and glances exchanged like wary signals. Tom felt the weight of the decision hover like a storm cloud on his shoulders. It's not easy, he murmured, the words heavy on his tongue. No, it was never easy. It was messy and complicated. There were wounds that never fully healed, memories tinged with bitterness and regret. Then let us face it together, Chris said. Like we always should have. Tom looked back at Sarah, her eyes reflecting a mirroring hope. Could he allow this? Accept the possibility of moving forward? The air crackled with anticipation. Maybe they could piece together the fragments of their past, carve a new narrative from the splintered remains. As Lily squeezed his hand one last time, Tom felt a glimmer of resolve. Okay, he said, breathing deeply, but if we do this, we need to be ready for everything. Before anyone could respond, a voice chimed in from the back of the crowd, a distant yet familiar presence. Let them speak, Tom. Everyone deserves a voice. For a heartbeat, the world blurred as all eyes fixed on the back of the room, where an unexpected figure stepped forward. Who was it? What other secrets were lurking just beyond the veil? As shadows loomed over the dim lights, Tom felt the ground beneath him shift once more, questioning if the truth would heal them or shatter them completely. Tom's heart raced as recognition washed over him like a wave crashing on the shore. The figure that stepped through the crowd was unmistakable. It was Mia, his estranged sister. Just the sight of her sent a rush of emotions through him: joy, anger, fear. The years of silence between them loomed larger than ever. What are you doing here, Mia? Tom managed to choke out, his voice shaking, betraying the calm he desperately tried to project. The hushed gathering hung on his words, the air thick with anticipation. Mia's gaze darted to the group, her eyes landing on Chris, then finally settling on Sarah. I came to deliver a message and maybe to mend some frayed ties. Tom blinked, trying to process her presence. This wasn't just a coincidence. She wouldn't have shown up unless it was important. A message? For who? Everyone, she said, her voice steadying as she stepped closer, unafraid of the tension radiating in the room. Especially you. Tom's breath caught in his throat. He felt like a deer caught in headlights, confronting all the history he thought he had locked away. The whispers around them quieted. Faces turned, curiosity sparked, tensions tangling into a single thread of collective anxiety. I know this isn't the time or place, Mia continued, glancing down at the floor then back at Tom. But the truth needs to come out. It'll never be easier. Trust me. Stop, Tom said, desperation tinging his words. It's not fair to spring this on us during Lily's wedding. He gestured toward his daughter, whose eyes blinked wide, filled with confusion, but Lily folded her arms and stepped forward. No, Dad. Maybe it's exactly the right moment. We've been hiding for too long. If there's something important to say, then say it. The room held its breath, the air charged with unspoken stories wanting to escape. Mia took a step closer to Lily, her expression softening. I loved your mother, Lily. Nothing could ever change that, she said, the sincerity clear in her voice. But I was there when it all fell apart. No one talked about the accident. No one talked about what I saw. The mention of their mother squeezed Tom's heart. The memories coming back in waves, painful, raw. Damn it, Mia. Some things are better left buried. Tom's voice echoed, but the years of silence had cracked his resolve. But they shouldn't be. She countered softly. You need to hear this and you need to share it. There's so much love and pain still tying us together. And if we don't face it now, it'll haunt us forever. The crowd murmured, the weight of her words settling like a heavy blanket. How could he allow this? How could he be vulnerable while so many watched and listened? Tom, please, Sarah's voice broke through, soothing yet firm. If we really want to heal, we have to face the truth. As disbelief played across his features, he glanced at Lily again. Her face reflected a mix of understanding and concern. Taking a deep breath, he closed his eyes for a moment as if seeking a sanctuary within himself. Would this revelation shatter their already fragile family? Okay, he said at last, the word escaping his lips like a hesitant sigh. If we're doing this, we'd better brace for it all. A sense of inevitability hung in the air, like a storm waiting to break. Tom opened his eyes to find Mia looking back at him, vulnerability mirrored in her expression. Ready to hear why I left? She asked. The crowd leaned in closer, breathless with anticipation. Would this moment be the answer they had all been waiting for, or would it crack them even further? As he took a step toward her, the weight of their shared past crowded around him, threatening to spill over. Tom's heart pounded as he murmured, I guess we are. But would they be ready for the truth that could change everything? Mia opened her mouth, her voice trembling, but she gathered herself quickly. The day of the accident, I was supposed to be in the car with Mom. I don't know how I got out of it, but I was spared. It was a miracle or a curse depending on how you see it. Tom's breath hitched, and he felt the world tilt beneath him. Memories of that day flooded back, siren wails, shattered glass, and the crushing silence that followed. He had always thought of Mia as a ghost, a fixed point in his past that had vanished. It felt unreal that now she was here, holding the truth instead of wrapping it in layers of blame. I should have been there and I wasn't. I never forgave myself for it. I thought it best to stay away, to let you all grieve without my shadow looming over you. Her voice shattered into a whisper. But that was wrong. I should have been there for you, for Lily. I should have faced this tragedy with you instead of running away. Tom felt the weight of her admission press against his chest. Running away didn't change anything, he murmured, searching for words, a lifetime of questions swirling around. You left us alone. It's not that simple. I know it isn't. She shot back, frustrated tears welling in her eyes. I can't undo the past, but I've spent years carrying this guilt, and I thought maybe finally saying it would free us all. Lily stepped forward again, her small voice cutting through the tension like a knife. But Mia, you didn't forget us. You're here now. Isn't that the first step? A murmur of agreement swept through the gathered family and friends, creating a pulsating energy that filled the room. It transformed the air with something that was almost palpable, an opening, a hope. But what if this tears us apart? Tom asked, frantic urgency creeping into his tone. What he feared most was the heartbreak it could cause. What if we unravel instead of heal? The crowd shifted, some whispering among themselves. Mia shook her head. Sometimes we need to break before we can build ourselves back up. That's how healing works, isn't it? Sarah stepped in, her hand resting on Tom's arm, grounding him. Everything we hold in makes us weaker. It's time to confront the shadows. We owe it to ourselves, to Lily, and to your mother. Tom felt a sense of suffocation, but also a flicker of something else, a stirring of possibility. He turned to Lily, searching her face. The determination she wore was reminiscent of her mother, a strength he wished he could emulate. Are you sure you want to hear this, sweetheart? She nodded slowly. I think I'm ready. We have to understand. We have to know who we are. Tom swallowed hard. The thought of his daughter learning about their family's deep scars made him want to run again. But the idea of never allowing her the chance to heal, never allowing himself the same chance, seemed unbearable. Mia stepped forward. Her voice a whisper now, but loud enough to be heard. I left because I didn't know how to deal with the pain. I needed to escape and I couldn't carry it. But it burdened me anyway. It's time to share what I witnessed that day. As Tom's heart raced louder, each beat was a question ringing in his ears. Could he handle the truth? Would knowing set them free or draw them into deeper anguish? The atmosphere thickened, tension mounting as they stood on the precipice of revelation. Please tell us, Tom finally said, gripping his wife's hand for courage. And with that, the room turned electric, a palpable charge in the air as Mia prepared to unveil secrets that might forever change the landscape of their broken family. What had she witnessed that would splinter truths they had kept hidden for so long? Mia inhaled deeply, the air around them crackling with anticipation, fear, and something eerily like hope. She glanced around at the familiar faces, each holding a thread of her past. I never thought I'd have to relive that day. But I owe you all this truth, and your mother's love deserves to be freed from the shadows. Yet even as she spoke, Tom's stomach churned. Could it really be worth it? His pulse quickened in sync with his thoughts, the crowd's energy shifting into that of a shared reckoning. Mia, please, his voice trembled, wavering with concern over what was to come. Maybe no, she interrupted gently, her eyes locking onto his. This is my moment to share, Tom. You taught me that holding things in only strengthens the darkness. It's time to shed some light. She paused, gathering her thoughts, seemingly lost in the swirling memories. When the accident happened, I was just a kid, But the last thing I remember seeing was your mother's face turn to me, smiling as she drove, promising ice cream if I held on for just a bit longer. It struck me then, when life is good, it feels infinite. We never recognize the fragility of our time together. Murmurs began to ripple through the room. Mia took a deep breath and Tom held his breath, eyes locked on her. He wanted to reach out to pull her back, but she continued. Then it happened, everything got dark. I was thrown forward. I felt the tremendous force of the impact as if it was happening to me right then. The crunch of metal, screams of sirens, there was so much chaos. I remember seeing Mom's hand so still. I thought we'd both be okay. Her voice shook, though she held it together as if gluing her broken pieces into coherence. A sorrowful silence enveloped them, and every person's heart ached at that image, the thought of Mia witnessing so much horror alone. I was in the hospital days later. I woke up to find out that she wouldn't come back to me. To us. My heart shattered. I felt like I had survived a war but lost everything that mattered. Did you ever ask why you weren't in the car? Tom ventured, his heart fluttering with a mix of anger and desperation. What had kept her from being there when she should have been? Yes, she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. But I never got an answer. I just chose to believe that it was maybe some twist of fate or some cruel joke. I had to push the thought away. My brain wouldn't let me handle it. So I ran. I hid because I thought disappearing would spare me the pain I didn't know how to face. Tom clenched his fists, as memories of Mia's laughter echoed in his mind, how they'd all once been happy. The grief he had bottlenecked in his own heart churned inside him, a tempest he couldn't ignore. It wasn't your fault, Mia, Lily said suddenly, stepping alongside her. The tenderness in her voice made Mia glance down at her. And in that moment of connection, something monumental shifted in the room. But it was my choice to hide, Mia countered. I thought it was for all of you, but it was selfish. I ran away when we needed each other most. It's taken me years to realize that loss doesn't justify isolation. Their eyes locked, a shared understanding passing between them. Tom looked at both of them, and he felt a surge of love that was primal, raw force that connected them all. They were there, alive right now in this room. They didn't need to remain shackled by the past. Mia took one last breath, her heart racing in the silence. In hiding, I lost sight of our love. But today I want to regain that strength. I need to mend what was broken, starting with you. I need my family back. Hope, steady and unpredictable, began to fill the cracks around them. But as gently as the atmosphere shifted, the questions of what would come next loomed heavy. How would they piece together years of hurt and choice? Tom found himself holding on to that idea, the possibility of healing. But the question remained, could they really move forward? Could they really let the past nurture something new? With a shaky hand he reached out, preparing to find his footing in this precarious truth. The room felt charged, as if the walls themselves awaited their next move. "Let us take this journey together," he said softly, "whatever that may look like." And just as that promise hung in the air, another knock echoed on their collective hearts, a realization that the story was far from over. The tumultuous path ahead would undoubtedly test their resolve. What would this journey of healing truly demand from each of them? As Mia's words hung in the air, Tom felt the energy in the room shift. The urgency for truth turned into a bond, a connection they all desperately needed after years of silence. Faces around him radiated empathy, offering unspoken support as he faced the weight of the past. "Together," he repeated, his voice steadying, drawing strength from Lily's hand wrapped tightly in his. "We face this as a family." Mia nodded, tears sparkling in her eyes. "Starting today, a new beginning." The music faded, and whispers of uncertainty turned into murmurs of acceptance. The crowd's warmth felt like sunlight breaking through heavy clouds as they leaned closer, forming a protective circle around this moment of revelation. It was a tapestry woven with the threads of past hardships, still fraying but ready to be sewn together again. "Lily," Mia said softly, her gaze softening, "I know there are so many stories you don't know about our family. It's time you understood the love and the hurt. Your mom was a wonderful person. She fought for her family just like Tom has. We all carry memories of her, good and bad. But she loved us fiercely." The tears in Lily's eyes mirrored those of everyone else, including Tom. "Tell me everything," she urged, her voice steady like the roots of an old oak tree, urging them to rise together against the storm. As Mia stumbled through memories, snippets of laughter, warmth, and heartache poured forth. They learned how their mother juggled everything, maintaining joy while hiding pain, the same burdens Tom had balanced as he poured himself into his work. It felt surreal, as if every secret fractured in the light, roads that led to healing laid bare. Tom could feel the stirrings of hope as they shared and connected. His expressions of regret, along with Mia's apologies, all flowed like a river breaking through a dam, carrying with it years of fear and sadness. Lily's presence allowed the floodwaters of grief to flow into a pool of unity, not division, and when Mia spoke of the night of the accident, Tom's breath hitched every time. The fear, the guilt, it all bubbled up in waves they had carried for too long. "But we don't have to be defined by one day," Mia urged, her voice stronger now as she addressed Lily. "It's okay to remember the love, to accept the hurt, but we must step into the light of what comes next. We need each other to heal." In that moment Tom felt his heart swell. They were reclaiming pieces of their history, scattering light into the shadows, and he could finally see a path forward. As the atmosphere shifted, filled with acceptance, something impossible lingered just beneath the surface. The idea that they could rebuild. "Can we do a family hug?" Lily asked shyly, a spark of hope igniting among them. Her sweet request pulled at their hearts and broke the burgeoning tension. Tom nodded, motioning to Mia and Sarah, and soon they all embraced, a patchwork of arms and hearts gathering around Lily. They formed a circle of love that enveloped the mistakes of the past and rooted them in the hope of the future. Tom inhaled deeply, the fragrance of forgiveness binding them closely. He held Lily tight as he buried his face in her hair, feeling the warmth of her affection wash away lingering doubts. "I promise," he whispered, "we're going to grow from this. I won't let you down again." Mia squeezed his shoulder, her smile big and bright. "And now I promise to. I'm back for good." Lily pulled away, looking into both their eyes. "We're a family, let us never forget that again." Cheers erupted from the crowd, clapping and laughter blossoming as people experienced this moment of transformation. Tom could finally sense that what they had endured only painted their love with more depth and vibrancy. They had each other now, and together they would navigate through life's storms undaunted and unbroken. As the music resumed, everyone returned to the dance floor, laughter mingling with the joy that filled the air. But Tom felt different this time. He saw himself not as a broken man struggling to redeem himself, but as a father, finally ready to walk beside his daughter every step of the way. And as he watched Lily dance, surrounded by her friends and family, he felt a radiant smile break over his face. Today wasn't just a wedding, it was a turning point, a celebration of love reborn. The shadows had not vanished, but they could finally face them together. Together as a family. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm because it really helps. And don't forget to comment your reactions and feelings about this Ending Your Voice Matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Because real fans know how important it is to be part of this journey. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Let us grow together.